Hello, hello. Happy Friday. I'm just going to give you guys a couple of minutes to jump on. While I wait, I will introduce myself in case there is anyone who has no idea who I am. I am Jamie Trull. I am a CPA, financial literacy coach, and profit strategist. I'm teaching business owners how to make and keep more money. Now I've been doing a lot of work helping people through understanding all the stimulus stuff, all PPP, EIDL, unemployment, all the things. So for those of you who are new, hello and welcome. Make sure you join us over in Financial Literacy for Women Business Owners. That's my Facebook group. We are always having these conversations and talking about different things over there. So there's a lot of value to be had over in that group. Also, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Say hi if you're watching me over on YouTube. Just Jamie Trull is my YouTube channel. And then hey to my Balance CFO Facebook page watchers. So tell me you're here. Say hi when you get here so that I know that you guys can hear me, because I'm always nervous about that. And hopefully today, Fridays are one of the days where I don't have childcare in the afternoon. So if we get a visitor in the form of a 3-year-old who's supposed to be napping or a 6-year-old who's supposed to be doing online school, I apologize ahead of time. Okay. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Stacy. Hi, Vonda. I see you guys joining. Awesome. Happy Friday. Paula. Great. Yay, we've got people. So I've been adding these. Usually I just go live on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Central Time to talk about various different topics. Usually there's a specific topic for those. I've been doing these extra kind of Friday Q&As for all of these stimulus questions because I know you guys have questions. And so I want to be here to be able to answer any of them. It has gotten quieter. So I can tell, there's not been as many questions on the stimulus. I think probably because we're sort of sitting in this kind of standstill place right now, waiting for hopefully something. So I'll start out just by giving you guys a quick update, but I do see, hi, Sonia, my mother-in-law's here. Hi, Ivan, hi, Judy, hi, Stephanie, hi, Gabriel, hi, Robin, hi, Bree. Cool, we got a bunch of you guys on here. Okay, so let me give you the lay of the land as of right now. So we do have a little bit of news, not really the best news, not really news that's overly helpful, but the Senate is back. They're back in session. They announced the skinny bill. You guys have probably heard the Republicans brought back a skinny bill. So let's take it back a minute just to kind of walk through where we've been on all the negotiations going on in Congress with this stuff. Okay. So we started this back in June. I think the Democrats had a $3 trillion bill. Then the Republicans came back when they were negotiating at the end of July, beginning of August. The Republicans had a $1 trillion bill, so pretty far apart. They negotiated. Democrats came down to about $2.2 trillion. And there are a few things that they are in agreement on, but there are a lot of things that they aren't. So they're continuing to negotiate that. Negotiations fell apart at that point. They could not get anywhere closer. And in fact, even the $1 trillion bill that the Republicans put out, half the Republicans didn't even support it because they wanted it to be less. So what's happened now is that came off the table. They couldn't come to an agreement, as we all know, kind of before the Senate went into recess. So but now they're back. And now they've come back with this kind of skinny bill, which the Republicans have been talking about. So they introduced the skinny bill. What is the skinny bill? It's a stimulus bill from the Republicans that's actually taken it down. It was $1 trillion. Now we're going down to about 500 billion-ish. So there's a lot of things that aren't included in there, like funding to assist states. The stimulus, actually, the $1,200 extra, which was actually surprising that wasn't in there, because that was one of the issues that it seemed like Democrats and Republicans were together on. So I'm not sure why that isn't in there. But essentially, that was basically dead on arrival. It did not pass. It went up yesterday, I think, and it did not pass the Senate. It wasn't really expected to. They need 60 votes. I think they got 52, something like that, which is roughly the number of Republicans in the Senate. So
Now it's back to the drawing board. So now it is back to, okay, what happens now? Because clearly there's going to need to be some bipartisanship here, right? There's going to need to be something where at least a handful can kind of come together and agree on. Will it happen? I don't know. And here's my fear, you guys, a little bit is that, I don't know if you guys are seeing this, but I'm seeing, it almost seems like there's a little bit of a reduction in urgency, not necessarily to the people out there like you who are actually small business owners and who may still be suffering, but at the top. I think there's a little bit of a disconnect with what's really going on. And I think there's a lot of hope. And we have seen, I think there has been a rebound in certain sectors, but some of you guys I know, because you tell me all the time, are in sectors that are like, look, I'm in the travel industry, or I am in the event industry, and mine is just not coming back, right? So there are still so many people that are struggling. So I hope that the urgency doesn't get taken away. So if you are in one of those spots, this is what I just keep telling people, right? If you're in one of those spots, reach out to your senators, reach out to your congressmen, because if they don't hear enough of this, you guys, it doesn't become a priority for them. And they think, okay, well, maybe we can get by without passing this. You know what I mean? Like we're seeing recovery. Maybe we don't need to pass this. And that's my fear, is that if there's not an uproar from the people who are really struggling to do something, and Kristen here, yeah, there are a lot of restaurants that are still struggling, right? Like you might be able to open, but you might have like half of your restaurant has to be socially distanced, or maybe people still aren't wanting to really go to restaurants, can't really make up enough money on the takeout side, right? There are a lot of industries and businesses that are still really struggling in the middle of this. So hopefully they will come out with at least something that's targeted to help those different types of businesses, but they're going to need to have some bipartisanship to be able to do that. And right now it just seems like they're so far apart. So let's see. I'm going to look here. I'll get to your question here in a minute. I can't see who this is, but I just want to finish giving kind of the update. So that's sort of where we are. A lot of you guys are still taking unemployment, and you are wondering about the status of that. So it really varies by state. So let's kind of take that back. End of July, the $600 extra FPUC, Federal Pandemic Unemployment Compensation, rolled off. That was done. Y'all probably all know that. In its place, and that's one of the things that's being argued about, but that one actually they're pretty close on, right? They're pretty close on. It's like $300 and $400 is what they want to add through the end of the year, both Democrats and Republicans. They're really not arguing that much on that issue anymore. But because a stimulus did not get passed in the beginning of August, there were executive orders signed by the president. One of them was to take money that actually FEMA has, who does all the natural disaster work, and apportion that out to fund unemployment. That is technically it goes through the end of December or until when the funds are used, which the funds will be used up long before that. In fact, in some states, the funds have already been used. So I want to kind of show this for you guys, and I should have dropped this link as well, but let me kind of throw this up here really quickly for you in case you haven't seen this. If you want to get the status of what's going on with unemployment in your state, it's called unemploymentpua.com. So just go there, and I can drop this in too, just to see. Hopefully this comment will come through to you guys, and you guys can jump on and look at it yourself. But, oh good, it's coming through. So you can see kind of your state. So Arizona was like basically one of the first to jump on and be paid out. They paid out 6 weeks worth. They have depleted the entire amount. So they are done. So you can see, I think only about 20 states have actually started paying this out. They should also back pay, but again, it kind of depends on how much cash is going to be left. So some states there's payment pending. So you can kind of get a feel. Again, go to that link that I just put in there, and you will be able to see kind of where your state. So there's a couple of states that have depleted it: Missouri, Montana, Texas is another one. There's only one state that declined it entirely, and that was South Dakota. South Dakota just says, we don't need your money, and they declined it. So that's really, take a look at this and kind of see where you're at. And it has some estimated pay dates in here for a lot of the states. Now, whether that will be the full amount back paid, we'll have to see. But that's really what it has. Now, some of these, it looks like, yeah, so these are paid, so the ones that are in the past. That's good. So that's just a useful thing if this is something for you, that unemployment is something that is a concern. Now, if they pass the stimulus, likely there's going to be some additional unemployment. It may even end up being on top of if you got money from this, it may actually be on top of that. So if they approve another $300 through any kind of stimulus, which is what the skinny bill had, and it was $300 through the end of December, it would likely actually be on top of this. We don't know exactly unless they kind of rewrote the rule, maybe not, but in theory, it would backdate all the way back to August 1st, the way it was written. Okay, let's see. I posted it above, so hopefully you saw it. It should be posted in one of my comments above, but it's unemploymentpua.com. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so in California, let's see, like California, it says they've paid out, it says they've paid out 3 weeks, but I don't know, exactly the timing of all of that. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it looks like a couple of people said that they only got $300 for California. I can't vouch for the accuracy of this list, but they seem to be kind of keeping up with things, so it's a good place to start. Okay, Bree says, to connect with your state government officials, yes. So I've used this ResistBot. You can actually do like letters that they'll do, and you can like do it via text. So I actually recommend email, text, and call. Do all of those things. Now, don't expend all of your energy, because I know sometimes when we're calling our representatives, like it's very frustrating, because you're probably not going to get a personal response. You're probably just going to get added to their email list, like I did when I wrote them a ton of letters earlier. I wrote like 11-page letters and was sending them, and I'm fairly certain no one read them. So don't get, you don't have to spend your whole days doing it and thinking about it. But I do recommend, if there's something that's important to you, whether that be the unemployment extension, whether that be another PPP loan, whether that be the stimulus check, whatever it is, PPP blanket forgiveness, whatever it is, make sure that you are reaching out to your elected officials and make some noise, and get your friends too. And, that's really the way that we're going to keep this from becoming something that just falls to the wayside, because not enough people are talking about it. Okay, let's see. So somebody else had a question. Okay, so Martha said, did anything happen with a deferral employee? It is optional. It is optional. Most businesses, so what we're talking about here, just to keep everybody up to speed, as one of the executive orders that Trump signed in August, one of them was a payroll tax deferral for employees. So mind you, employers, you already had a payroll tax deferral option for you. So if you don't know about that, reach out to your payroll company and find out more. That was part of the CARES Act. So your employer portion of payroll taxes, if you wanted to, you could voluntarily defer, pay half of it at the end of 2021 and half of it at the end of 2022. You're still gonna have to pay it though. For employees, now this option existed, and the point was to get more money into employees' paychecks. But the problem is it wasn't forgiven. And I think Trump really wanted a holiday that would be forgiven, but he doesn't have the funds to do that, or the ability to do that. So he could just pass a deferral. So he has deferred it between September and December. But then the IRS came out with guidance that said, okay, you can defer it between September and December, but then it's going to be due by April of next year. And what most businesses, that means is businesses are going to be on the hook for collecting that money. So if you're a business and you let your employees defer, right, you're the one that actually remits that to the government. If you don't have it to remit, you're going to have to collect it later. So employers would be on the hook between generally January and April of next year. They'd basically be double upping on the payroll tax deferral, right? Or the payroll taxes that they'd have to collect from employees' paychecks, which I don't think employees would love, right? I mean, they have a huge paycheck for a couple of months and then not so much come January, February, March, and April if nothing changes. So because of that, and then like what happens if an employee leaves and then the employer's on the hook, they've got to be able to collect that in some way. It's a lot of administrative work. Most employers that I've talked to have opted not to do the deferral. So it's completely up to you what you want to do with that. But just know as an employer, you're on the hook then for collecting that later at a later date, the way it is currently written. Okay, so let's see. What other questions do you guys have? I'm trying to think about what else I wanted to tell you about. Oh, let's talk about PPP. So just, I know the skinny bill failed, but we can still look at it to see like where they were kind of heading with it. The skinny bill did have a PPP second round that would be available to people who had not gotten or who had gotten a previous PPP. You would have to prove in Q1 or Q2 of 2020 versus Q1 or Q2 of 2020 or of 2019, and probably Q3 as well. It wasn't written in there, but probably Q3 as well, now that we're pretty much done with that. You had at least a 35% drop in your gross receipts, in your revenue. So it used to be 50. That was kind of what was circulating around before. This skinny bill had 35%. So I actually talked to somebody who was upset because both Q1 and Q2, they were down 48%. And they were like, I'm not going to be able to get it because I'm only down 48%. So if you're on here, I can't remember what your name was, but if you're on here, they had moved it down to 35%. It is not passed though. But I don't see that as being one of the things that's contentious right now. So that's the interesting thing about all of this, is that there are a few things that are non-contentious, but because each party has their own other things that they want to do, right, that they don't pass a bill that is just those things that they agree on. And that's just kind of, I know that is frustrating to people, especially people who are waiting for that money. But that is the essence of politics, is the art of the compromise. And it is exceedingly frustrating. I don't know, like random thought I just had, but I don't know if anybody here is a Hamilton fan, but it just makes me think of like The Room Where It Happens, right? Like I just picture, like this closed off room with like a couple of people in it making all these decisions. Maybe I'm just watching Hamilton too many times. I don't know. Pretty much, I think I've made a Hamilton reference 5 times today. I need to not watch it anymore. Okay, great question. Should we apply for PPP forgiveness or wait and see if it is automatically granted? It depends. And I hate using that. I hate every CPA and every lawyer says it depends way too many times, and I really try to avoid that. I have a Gusto article that I wrote over a month ago now that is still really relevant today. So I will post that as well after this for you. If you are an employer, the timing of when you apply does matter. So there's a lot of different things you have to think about with timing if you're an employer. Specifically, if you're an employer and you want to maybe lay people off. So I know a lot of businesses brought people back to use their PPP money. Now they're out of PPP money and now they need to lay people off. If that's you need to think about the timing of when you apply. So I don't want to get into all the details because it gets really mind-blowing a little bit, but I do have some YouTube videos on it. So go check out some YouTube videos. I have one on Safe Harbor. That's a really good one to watch if that's you. And also that Gusto article. If you don't have employees and it's just you, I would wait it out. Personally, you don't have to. If you're like, I need to get this thing over with, go for it. It's going to lessen the amount of paperwork. That's mainly what's going to happen. If you're self-employed, you're just going to have to do a heck of a lot less paperwork. If they have blanket forgiveness, it's probably just going to be a little certification. You will still probably have to give something. They're not just going to automatically forgive it. You will have to probably give a certification that says, I tried to use this in the right way, right? But I would probably wait. You have 10 months from the end of your 8 or 24 weeks to apply for forgiveness. That's a while. So, while it depends on your specific situation, so I can't blanket this. And importantly, disclaimer, forgot to give this at the beginning, disclaimer, I'm not giving financial advice. This is just me trying to help you guys through this and trying to help you guys understand this. Obviously, things change. Obviously, your situation is specific to you. So work with a tax advisor, work with a CPA, work with a small business attorney if you need to and want to for your specific situation. Sorry, got to add it. But I do think for a lot of people who are self-employed, it might make sense just to wait it out another month and see what happens. If they haven't passed anything in another month, then you might want to think about going ahead and getting it done with, just so it's not hanging over you. But I'm really hoping that something has got to happen here soon. No, more PPP has not gotten approved. No, I was just talking about that. It was in the bill. The bill got shut down, not because of that though. If a bill gets passed, likely there will be some form of funding, either PPP or maybe a different kind of loan for business owners. You will likely have to, there will be more qualifications to get it as far as your business being impacted than there was the first time, but no, not yet. Okay, Martha asks, can you apply for the 300 UI if you got PPP as a sole proprietor using all money before the 24 weeks? Another words have not completed the covered period yet. So remember, as a sole proprietor, as anybody, right? You only got 10 weeks of pay. You will only be forgiven for 2.5 months worth. It's really like 10.8 weeks of pay. It's very annoying the way they've done the math here between the weeks and the months. But so you aren't blocked out from unemployment for a full 24 weeks, right? Because that would be ridiculous. Why would anybody do that, right? Because if you can only get roughly 10.5 weeks through PPP, but then that blocks you out of unemployment for 24 weeks. That doesn't make sense. Now, you do have to, it depends on, the state. I've talked about this a lot. Different states have different rules. Make sure to check your state, call them if you need to with what you need to do for PPP. Some states, they say you can't be on unemployment if you have PPP. Some states you you just have to claim it. And some states don't even care and they'll give it to you anyway. So it's all over the board right now. And there's a little bit of a risk decision on your part as well, as always. But in my view, it does not make sense that you would not be able to get PPP for that whole 24 weeks. The 24 weeks doesn't really apply to sole proprietors in the same way it does to employers. It was really meant more for employers to be able to use the money over a longer period of time. For self-employed, you just start paying yourself and you pay yourself for essentially 10 weeks worth. And you should be fine. And that's what I'm telling people generally. If your state doesn't say, then I think it's reasonable to claim it probably equally over the 10 weeks on your unemployment, or just not claim unemployment for those 10 weeks if you want to be conservative about it. So yes, that's what I would say. So Gretchen, let's see. Hang on. PPP full forgiveness. I can use mine until October 11th. So any thoughts on that? Yeah. So I just talked about that a little bit. Still waiting. Still don't know. If you, and like it said, you're an employer, if the timing does matter for employers, it does because of safe harbor and a lot of different reasons. So the timing of when you apply actually, ultimately, just to kind of boil it down, and there's a lot of little things that kind of get in here and can trip you up, but ultimately you want to probably apply for forgiveness when you have the most amount of employees. And when you're back to, and you probably want to apply for forgiveness when you have your full head count back, if you can, right? From what you had before. That's probably going to help you be in a safer zone to be able to maximize your PPP forgiveness. But again, it is highly individualized. Ooh, great plug here for my girl, Bree, who's on here. Bree, I didn't put it up in the comments. Bree, I need you to drop your consult link. So Bree Beers, she is a good friend of mine. She is another CPA. She has her own firm in Colorado, but works with people in pretty much every state. She is doing PPP consults. So a lot of people have had trouble with their own accountants around this kind of stuff where they're just not necessarily informed and they're having trouble getting that, or maybe you don't have an accountant yet and you are looking. Bree's doing 30-minute consults. So even for non-clients, she will do a consult with you for PPP. You can easily schedule it through her link. Please tell me you're on here, Bree, and you can drop the link because I don't have it and I want to make sure people see it. So if she drops that, I will put it up on the screen and I will show you because you guys need to go and chat with her because especially if you're an employer, there are some little things you want to be aware of to make sure you don't accidentally shoot yourself in the foot. I fully believe everybody should be able to get 100% forgiveness. You just have to know the little rules and the tricks to be able to do so. Okay. Come on, Bree, where are you at? I knew you were here a minute ago. Let's see. There is no time limit on EIDL specifically. Here's what I'll say about that. So I know people got it like as an insurance policy in general, probably fine. If you got it as an insurance policy though, and like we kind of return from this COVID world and everything's fine whenever that is, right? And kind of you're out of the immediate woods, I would pay it back. Because if you keep that thing and hold on to it for 3 years, and then they come back and say, hey, what'd you spend your money on? You're like, I didn't spend the money. That probably would not be a great answer to have, right? So either spending it on operating expenses or hold on to it and pay it back when you don't need it. That is what I would do. I wouldn't hold on to it and then use it later because it could get a little sticky if and when the SBA ever came back and asked you. Will you definitely get audited? No. Could you get audited? Yes. And I mean audited by the SBA, potentially also by the IRS, but really I think the SBA would be doing these. Okay, Bree, yay. All right, so okay, this is the link for the free, let's see. Yes, for the strategy sessions. And there's also, okay, so there's also like, if you want her to do the full thing, like fill out all your forms, do all the things, then she has a free consult for that. Okay, so this is the link. Go there, you guys. That's a lot of numbers, so I'm gonna leave it up for a minute. If you're on Facebook, you can just go to Bree's link where she just put it and grab it. But I'll leave that up for a minute. But Bree's amazing. She's great. And you need to use her. Okay. Let's see. What did I miss? If I missed your question, Leslie laughing about my Hamilton reference. I'm glad somebody gets it. This is my view of government, is just what I learned from Hamilton. Although I think I told you guys, did I tell you guys this story? I'm going to tell you guys an embarrassing story. I'm not sure. So the other week, my son was doing first grade, and he, like, y'all probably know where this is going, but he's always on mute, right? He's always on mute when he's doing his online learning, unless they're doing like some kind of responsive thing. So I didn't even pay attention. So I walked up, he's got on his computer, a couple different historical figures, and George Washington was up there. And so we had just been talking about George Washington, and I was showing him pictures of the real George Washington, because his view of history is probably a little bit different in what it looks like anyway. So I was showing him pictures and everything. And so he said, oh yeah, it's George Washington. And I might have started singing Here Comes the General from Hamilton very loudly. And then my son was going, rise. Not on mute, you guys. Not on mute. Sorry, Mrs. Graham. And 17 first graders who got to hear me jam out to Hamilton. That's a good one too. What did I miss? It's a very good one too. Okay, all right. What else we got? I got another question. Hopefully y'all got Bree's link. If not, go on over to Facebook. She will, oh, look, here's another one. Okay, so there's the consultation. Yeah, so you can use, that's another one. That's an easier one, breebeerscpa.com/consultation. Check that one out. Okay, so one last question I'm going to take, because I'm right at my 30 minutes, and I'm going to promise that I'm actually going to make it this time. Okay, for an S Corp with monthly payroll, which changes month to month, how do we do the paid sick family leave tax credit? How do we calculate an average daily rate? Do we use that month's salary, Schedule C, or figure it out from estimated annual salary of 2020? I don't know if you're talking about for you or for your employees. I would say I have not seen specific guidance. I haven't seen specific guidance. I've seen, if they normally work 20 hours a week, you get 2 weeks at 20 hours a week. If it's like super variable, I would come up with a rate. They may have published something. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. Too many details on these things, you guys. I can't exactly remember, but I would look and take like a normal rate that they had been paid, maybe the month or quarter before. Again, check me on this. But it seems reasonable to me that you could kind of come out with like a relative average of what they would normally be working if they're hourly, and pay them that over those 2 weeks? Or what would they have been working typically if they were to be working those 2 weeks? How many hours would they probably have worked, and pay them that? I think if you have a reasonable way of coming up with that, it's probably fine. Again, though, this could be a really good thing to reach out to your payroll provider about and see what they have to say, because you're going to want to work with your payroll provider to make sure you claim those credits correctly anyway. So I would have that conversation with them too. Okay, guys. Okay. I have to, well, let's see. I'll just put this one up there. They're all, my son is mildly obsessed. It's about the cutest thing ever. So he loves it. He can sing the whole song by the King, the first King song. It's pretty adorable. Also slightly inappropriate, just a little inappropriate, but like kind of like on the funny side of inappropriate when a 6-year-old sings it. It's fine, right? It's fine. We got bigger things to worry about. All right, guys. I love y'all. I'm at my time. You guys have an amazing, amazing weekend. I will be back here next Friday. I will not be here next Wednesday, but I will be back next Friday. So I will see you guys then, and maybe we'll have something new to talk about. That would be nice. See you guys later.